Is it done? Is Bitcoin done moving to the downside, at least for right now? Well, that is the topic of today's video as we do revisit some of the more medium-term time frame ideas that we've been looking at on this channel throughout the past week as far as potential downside trajectory targets in the more near term. And, well, looks like they have been met. So I wanted to follow back up on this, and we can then extrapolate into the future as to what to kind of expect more in the short term. So today's video is very much focused on the short term compared to yesterday's video, which is very much focused on the long term. If you're in for a more long-term view, yesterday's video is the one that you want to check out. All right, sweet. Let's just jump right into it right over here. First things first, we were looking at last week as a break of the median on the HPDR bands indicator right here, which did imply a test to the bottom side of the range of the blue 50% of historic returns range lows. Bitcoin's hit that pretty much exactly right there on the index and bouncing from that region, which is to be expected. Now, bounce, not the same thing as reversal, although lower term timeframes, are obviously a reversal, but on a weekly time frame, not the same thing. And ultimately, now we get to play the game of where does this next consolidation come in around? And basically, as long as Bitcoin is still below that median band, long term still bearish. Now, of course, it is very, very high for this particular week. We expect that over the next passing weeks, it should come down a little bit as well, probably finding its way towards 46,000 bucks. But currently speaking, it is 47,205 and 30 cents to be exact. So what does that imply? That implies that Bitcoin at best is going to trade sideways here between about, let's say, 40,000 bucks on the downside on a weekly time frame, that is, versus about 45,000 bucks to the upside. Or if you want to use the median, you could, but I think that's a little bit too far in this particular case to make much sense out of anything. So again, looking at this right here, for now, yes, the short-term downside, or the downside that we looked at for the more near term, is very, very likely done, and Bitcoin's likely to enter into a short-term bounce followed by a medium-term consolidation. And then if yesterday's video is still very much relevant, which it is, gonna have a bearish bias on that, most likely. Again, as long as Bitcoin's below 46,000 bucks on a higher term time frame closing basis, all consolidations are bearish. But if it were to reclaim, very fucking bullish. So in this case, the real question is, well, what else do we have that does suggest or corroborate this story? So going back on over here for the 5-day time frame, we did see that Bitcoin, according to yesterday's video, did bounce off that yellow 21 exponential moving average. Again, it's just like, okay, this is a good place for at least a little bit of a bounce. Looks like we're getting that as well. And then, of course, the weekly time frame we did look at coming into the end of last week on Friday's video, the head and shoulders on CME, which did have an implied move from that particular formation. And the implied move has now been met, or it actually was met a little bit earlier today when Bitcoin was still trading below 40,000 bucks. Now it's kind of bouncing from there, as you would expect. So this is a good bouncy region after a target like this is met. We probably do expect the weekly RSI to once again retest somewhere around the edge of the bullish control zone. And if it is going to be bearish, you probably look for a rejection right there. Anyways, so yes, we do, the picture that I'm painting here is that we're essentially getting a lot of these more bearish setups, targets met, which when you get a target met like that, you're more than likely to bounce. And that's kind of what we're witnessing right now, as Bitcoin is actually trading just a little bit above 40,000 bucks. So also, another one of the major setups that we were looking at the end of last week was a 12-hour time frame over here for the Oracle Pro, and the Oracle Pro did call a sell on Friday. Actually last Friday, and the sort of purplish check mark right here that my cursor is currently tracing does indicate that the average take profit from that signal has been met. So again, another indication of a likely bounce here. Anyways, because today is Thursday, we should no, it's not. Today's Wednesday. Today is actually Wednesday. We should actually reference the daily statistics. Out of all Wednesdays in Bitcoin's history, just under 48% of them have closed positively. So a little bit worse than a coin toss in favor of the downside, but it is the highest bullish return day. So for when the dailies do close positively, it actually does have the highest return at 2.63%. So let's see what that would look like on top of today's open and see what that could essentially postulate as far as the upside of the range, which would be 40,900 basically. So I do suspect that, we probably see a move, about $1,000 move to the upside from this $40,000 region, in the next day, maybe 2 days, something like that. But again, that's not necessarily the full picture. On top of that, if we go back to this chart, I should also call out that there is some full hour regular bullish divergence coming off this last low right here, or actually not on CME, but on spot price action. We do indeed see, if we can load the damn chart. There we go. We can see a bit of bullish divergence coming in right here from this last particular low. So in the very, very short term, probably an extension of this run towards 40,350. Something like that. And then likely we do see another try to the upside. I would say anywhere between 41 basically to 41.5, or sorry, 41.350. Very, very likely we do see some sort of a test around those regions in the next day or two. Maybe 3 days. Day or two, I guess. Yeah, whenever Friday is, basically. Give it a few days there. But ultimately, again, bounces that fail to get back above 46,000 bucks are long-term bearish. Now, long-term bearish, I'm basically talking about the period for mid to maybe end of February. I will go over another idea pertaining to this in a later video, like in a more prolonged fashion. But if you actually see Bitcoin not breaking down by end of February, I will actually start to switch on to being bullish as well from this region. But for now, tentatively, it's kind of like the same as before. It's like, all right, bounce, find that next lower high, whether it comes in at 41,350 or maybe travels a little bit higher towards 44, that's fine. Trade sideways for a bit and then sets it up for, an early to mid February breakdown. Anyways, yes. Okay, what else we want to go over? Okay, where is my damn chart? Oh, there we go. It's on this one. Running over here on the 12-hour time frame. I should call it this as well. The Prime Oscillator Pro is printing a green triangle down here, and that has essentially correlated with some pretty nice bounces for Bitcoin in the past. Now, I'll mark off the last few times that we've seen this. It's not going to be perfect, obviously, but it's going to be, I believe, pretty damn good if memory serves me correctly. So let me just mark these all off right here. And then we can compare to our current trajectory and maybe get, another potential upside bias target for Bitcoin. Still on the lower end, 41,350. On the upper end, probably somewhere around 44 if I had to guess. But let's just see where these areas correlate with as I plot them all in, and boom. Okay, so you can see that out of the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, it has produced generally decent bounces. I'd say there's I'd say there's 2 times where this did indeed fail and didn't really get any bounce at all. But for the other times, it wasn't pretty indicative of a bounce coming in the more near term, actually. As you can see right here, some of them actually pretty damn impressive bounces. I mean, especially these 2 over here and these ones on the major reversals. But for right now, it is firing off yet again on particularly this last closure. So this one's fresh essentially, and again would be playing within the overall idea that a short to medium term bounce here is completely fine. Tentatively speaking, low 41s to 41.5 is, I think, very, very likely. In the next few days perhaps. Maybe it takes a little bit longer than that, but that's fine. But realistically, again, I'm going to continue to fucking repeat this. As long as Bitcoin's below 46, all bounces are just that, bounces before getting ready for lower. Again, check out yesterday's video if you want the more like long-term analysis on that. So I think we are 8 minutes into this video. I want to keep this one on the nice and short and sweet side. Basically, the message here, short term, yeah, the downside is over. Very, very likely over. Maybe there's one more retest of the current lows. That's completely fine. But I do suspect that Bitcoin's done closing on new lows for now, and it's bounced probably into the end of the month here. As Bitcoin does bounce, particularly off of the weekly HPDR bands level. I mean, this is the old Bing and Bong formation. Let me introduce you to my friends, Senor Bing and Mr. Bong. We had Bing over here, and now you get Bong over here for a little bit of a bounce. You bounce on the bong and you get super high. Great, just fucking great. Good messages to have on this YouTube channel, especially after yesterday's comment at the very end. Anyways, so yes, Bitcoin bouncing back up, to be expected here. Just, it's probably going to be range bound for another couple weeks. That range on declining volatility, as we went over in yesterday's video, very likely does lead. There's just a higher probability of a downside resolution from there. And real market probably begins probably sometime around like end of March if I had to guess. But this will be very likely the Bitcoin Boolah's last real chance, in my opinion, to kind of reverse things from here, and work their way back up above 46. But you know, assuming that doesn't happen, downside is again just the most likely thing to be happening from here. Let's say Bitcoin does reclaim 46,000. It's a big fucking if, but at that point, probably looking for a deep run into $50,000, like deep 50,000s. I won't say it right now, but it can really fucking move into the deep 50s if that were to happen, and like probably fast as well. But unlikely, very unlikely in my opinion. Not that my opinion matters, but again, one thing before the next. Anyways, I think that's a good place to be leaving off on this particular video. Again, short term, does Bitcoin retest those? Maybe. I mean, it's completely fine, but very likely bounce from this region. If it does retest the short term lows, there should be another drive of bullish divergence, and that should be good enough to get it back up above 41,000 bucks, and then we get to play the game from there. So I think that will do it for today. Yeah, that'll do it for today. I want to keep this one on the nice and short and sweet side. Introduced you to my friends Bing and Bong, and I will end things right there. As always, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow. And I forgot to do it again. Please like and subscribe and herp your derp. Yeah, all right, you already got it. Take care.